Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video. So about a month ago, I made these top 8 series that I usually do every year. Usually it's top 5 or top 10. This year we went with top 8, a little bit of a different approach. I really like the way I did it this year. We did like top 5, 7 stars in each class, and then the top 3 6-star champions that are exclusive 6 stars, that don't exist as 7 stars, to form a top 8 list and then show it all together. And then I said, at the end of that series, I was going to have 2 more videos. And so one is the top 10 6-star champions, and the other is the top 10 7-star champions. And I never put those out. I did make the thumbnails for both of them, and I think I recorded like the 6-star one, but then I changed the order in it. And that was like all before I left. And then by the time I got back, there's other videos I wanted to make and everything. So, but I've seen a couple comments about it. I did not forget about it. And basically, the reason why it's taken so long is because I had to go on a quest to acquire a mythical item. Because, with all of these videos, there have been a lot of comments. And, I tried to make the disclaimer at the beginning of every video that it's my opinion, but that disclaimer didn't always work. That's why I had to go on a quest to acquire a sacred item. And now I have that item. So now I am prepared to make this video. You might be thinking like, Lagacy, what the heck are you talking about, man? And I totally agree. Who knows what I'm talking about till I tell you. It's a very rare item. I'm sure you guys have never even heard of it, but here it is. This right here is the legendary, the mythical opinion shield. As long as I have this shield, it will protect me and my opinion, no matter what. It will protect me from all the negative comments. Where's Kitty Pryde? Where's Silk? Where's Tiger? Opinion shield. Opinion shield. All my opinions will forever be protected by this shield. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the top 10 6-star champions. So, before we get to the number 10 spot, we do have a little bit of disclaimer. So the first disclaimer is no Hercules. Hercules. We all know how busted this dude is. Where is he even? There he is. He's not going to be on the list. We're not going to be talking about him today. Right here, what we're talking about, that's it. We're done. Herc's done. Alright, another champion I want to talk about is Tigra. Tigra is not on this list. Why? For a very good reason. Is Tigra a very powerful champion? Absolutely. Does she require skills to play? Absolutely. Does she require a lot of time investment? Absolutely. Does she require a lot of spacing knowledge? Absolutely. She requires all of these things, which, for all those reasons, she requires so much of your own personal investment that if you want to invest all that into her, she will be good. She could be a top 10 6-star champion, but I'm not investing all that time, energy, and effort into learning Tigra, into learning all of her matchups. No thanks. We have a finite amount of time on this planet and a finite amount of time I can play this game. And that time is not going to learn Tigra. It's just not. There's only one Tigra challenge in the entire game, and I feel like I did pretty damn good in it with just having her at rank 4. And it was good enough. And hopefully there's never going to be another Tigra challenge. So, yeah, that's Tigra. And one last thing I want to say about Tigra is people like, oh, but in the best hands, she's incredible. And she is, but even in the greatest player hands in the game playing Tigra, I've still seen mistakes made. I have seen Tigra lose rounds due to a simple little error, just a tiny little mistake. Because even the best of the best players, she's still complicated to play, and even the best of the best players, they make little mistakes here and there, and that's what Tigra's all about. She's high risk, high reward. So if you make one of those little mistakes, you can be very heavily punished, and I've seen it happen. I've seen Tigra lose matches due to little mistakes by even the best of the best players, So for all those reasons, that's why Tigra is not on the list. Okay, those are, I think, there's a couple other 6-stars I could talk about, but let's just go ahead and get into the list. So coming in at the number 10, the 10th best 6-star champion in the game. Where is he? Right here. Dr. Doom. So Dr. Doom made the list, which is great. I think Dr. Doom is incredible, but he's barely making the list at that number 10 spot. Dr. Doom definitely had his time in the contest. He reigned supreme for a very long time. And the funny thing is, though, when Dr. Doom first came out, people didn't even like him. They didn't think he was that good because, the hype for Dr. Doom was, in the sky, in the atmosphere. So when Dr. Doom finally came out, people were very hesitant at first, but once the Doom cycle was discovered, I'm pretty sure it was all thanks to one of our current community managers right now, Dorky Diggity Dave, kabam dork. He is the one who made the original video breaking down the Doom cycle, at least that I saw. It's the first one that I had seen, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, that literally changes everything. When you properly Doom cycle, this guy is just easily one of the best power control champions in the game. You know, if they're not immune to the effects of stun, not immune to shock, not immune to incinerate, and they're not going to take away your buffs, and they're not immune to power control, like Dr. Doom, if all 5 of those things are working in your favor, then Dr. Doom is just going to turn basically any fight into a potato. But, you know, if they have stun immunity, then he's not going to really work nearly as good. If they have, you know, if they can fail his abilities, that's not going to work. If they have immunity to shock, that's going to make it a lot more annoying because you can't just use your heavies whenever you want. If they're immune to incinerate, then you're not going to be able to get the big damage loop. If they're immune to power control, then you're kind of screwed on that. And if they mess with your buffs, you know, if they have like an auto nullify or something, for example, then you can't really gain the big attack increase from your special 3 with the Fury and the Doom cycling. So, you know, Doom is really great, but it's really not that hard to shut him down, honestly. But on the flip side of things, even if you shut him down, you know, he's still an incredible champion all around, just for his sheer stats alone. If Doom was ever released as a 7-star, like, he'd be so good just for the stat increase alone. Because there's a little thing in this game called Challenger Rating. So what Challenger Rating means is essentially when you're fighting a 5-star and a 6-star, when they're fighting, the 6-star has a pretty big advantage because they have an additional star level. That's where Challenger Rating comes into play, with star levels and stuff. So, like, if Doom ever comes out as a 7-star, the stat increase plus the stat focus is just going to be unreal for him. But yeah, Doom, I'd say, has some of... Serpent might have more crazy base stats than Doom now, because Serpent is like the most broken champ in the whole game. So he might rival Doom now in terms of base stats, but before Serpent, there was not a champion in this game that came close to rivaling Doom in these crazy base stats here. And what makes Doom somewhat balanced, you know, is his health pool. He doesn't have that big of a health pool. On the flip side of things, you know, Serpent has a pretty fat health pool, so it makes those base stats even worse, and all the rest of his kit even worse. But at least with Doom, he doesn't have that big of a health pool, so although his stats are jacked, but he is still an incredible defender. You know, he has unblockable special 1s pretty much always, unless you have like a specific debuff to turn that off. And then if he throws a special 2 while the aura is still active from the special 1, that's going to be unblockable as well. And even if it's not unblockable, if you block it, it's going to be a lot of block damage. And if you try to like block Dex and slip up, he clips you, you can do a lot of damage. Like, Doom is awesome. I really do like Doom. I think he definitely deserves to be on this list, but just barely. I think he just barely makes the list. So that is Dr. Doom landing at our number 10 spot. Let's go ahead and move on now to number 9. So this next champion is staying within the theme of Dr. Doom, and that is Human Torch. What I mean by the theme is, you know, Dr. Doom is the biggest villain of the Fantastic Four. Human Torch is the most beloved character of the Fantastic Four. So yeah, and Human Torch is an incredible Dr. Doom counter as well. You know, Human Torch has, I would say, one of the most powerful offensive abilities in the entire game, and that is his pre-fight ability, Flame On. You know, I have been in Human Torch's corner since this man came out. You know, when Human Torch first came out, it was even worse than Doom. People just thought he sucked. People thought he had no damage. People thought, you know, he was okay against Mystics, but outside of the Mystic matchups, like, he's terrible. And it took me a while to try to convince people, like, no, Torch is really good, man. He's really good. Like, and my main argument for saying Torch was good back then was just his pre-fight. It's all in the pre-fight. You can, and the game, luckily, thankfully, has evolved to make this pre-fight even better. Because, you know, before, when Torch came out, there was no battlegrounds. So it's like you go into a quest, you use your pre-fight once, you maybe save it for the boss or something, and then, you know, that's it. You only get one use out of it. But now, with Battlegrounds, all you need is one use. One matchup, one use, one Flame On, one pre-fight, and you're golden. Like, Battlegrounds has really made champions that function like Torch so much better because they can fully take advantage of that pre-fight ability. Another prime golden example of that is Nick Fury. Same thing with Nick Fury. You bring him into a quest, he's one and done. You pop that pre-fight ability, or it's not pre-fight, persistent charge ability. Once you die, and that's it. You can't heal past 30% for the rest of the quest, which kind of sucks. But in Battlegrounds, it's one and done. That's all you need. There is no further fights in the quest. Battlegrounds is one and done. So that's what really, really took Human Torch off, especially when Battlegrounds came out. I say he's definitely fallen off now because of 7-star rank 3s, and again, the whole stat focus argument and discussion that we were just having. With the stat focus, Human Torch, he's going to take more and more block damage from these big 7-stars. Until Torch becomes a 7-star, then it'll be a lot better. But yeah, dude, Flame On is just such a powerful ability. And then it was really when once Abyss of Legends came out, that's where Human Torch really started picking up speed in the community too, because in Abyss of Legends, Human Torch you can see the true damage potential out of him, because in an average fight, against a Mystic, you maybe stack up, I don't know, 5 to 15 smolders, maybe, and each one of those would be like a blocked hit. But in Abyss, you're stacking up upwards of 50 plus smolders. The more smolder, the more damage. So it just scales. It's so insane in Abyss. So Human Torch, man, he's awesome. But the reason he's so low on this list, is a big reason of that is because of challenge rating and Torch being stuck as a 6-star. A lot of the other champions on this list, they're not as held back because they're a 6-star. Where Human Torch is, in my mind, in my opinion, on my list, the way I look at the game here, again, protected by my shield, that is what I think about Human Torch. I still think he's great. He really just needs to come out as a 7-star and get those challenge rating stat increases, plus stat focus, just give him block proficiency, and that is going to help him so much. A rank 3 Torch would be crazy. So that's Human Torch coming in at the number 9 spot. Okay, coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Absorbing Man. So, Absorbing Man is higher than Doom. Yes, because Absorbing Man is so much more useful than Dr. Doom, in my opinion. Now, the reason why I say that, and I have Absorbing Man here, it's not just based on a guess or a feeling or something. No, it's based off of, on my second account, fully free to play, Valiant Leg Spiker that I made this year, my very first 6-star that I pulled was Absorbing Man. And I genuinely don't think I could have gotten a better 6-star. I really don't. Even all the champions above Absorbing Man on this list, I don't even think they would have been a better first 6-star than Absorbing Man. I genuinely think Absorbing Man is pretty much the best champion, well, at least for me on a second account, because I know how to play him. For a newer player that wasn't, super familiar with intercepting and light countering, maybe not the best of the best options. Still an incredibly good option, just for his immunities alone. But for me, for my second account, I don't think there was a better pull than Absorbing Man. Genuinely. He got me through so much of the early game. There's so many different situations where you need this immunity, that immunity, this immunity, that immunity. And dude, Absorbing Man has it. He just has it. Even if he doesn't house said immunity, I bet you he's going to be resistant to it, in one of his forms. Most likely. Unless it's Degeneration. And there's not too many champs in the game that can deal with Degeneration, But with his Black Uru form, he gains a ton of that physical resistance. He gains bleed immunity, shock immunity, which is incredible. With the Magma form, he gains immunity to Incinerate, Cold Snap, Hot and Cold, plus a buttload, a big fat buttload of energy resistance, which allows him to, still take reduced damage from shock and any energy-based damage. So Magic's Limbo, he's going to be reducing that by a ton. Any type of energy damage. In his Magma form, he's reducing it by so much. Same with the Uru form. If he's fighting Thorns, he's fighting Atuma, Korg, that direct damage. If he's in his Uru form, it tickles. It just tickles him. Absorbing Man is the king of immunities, period. He's the king of immunities. He just is. He has so many. And, the I'd say the only immunity really that he's missing, is poison. And poison is a tough one because it's not, doesn't fall under the energy or physical damage category, I don't think. And it also, reduces healing. So the more poisons you stack, the worse your healing is. Whereas with other debuffs, at least with willpower you can help. But with poison, it directly lowers your healing. So poison is very punishing. And, Absorbing Man doesn't house any of that poison immunity in his base kit. But he's got a synergy to get it. And dude, again, this synergy was so useful for me on that Leg Spiker account. I remember, I think I just went for some 3-star incursion crystals until I got an Eye Hulk or an Eye Bomb. And then, boom, I got poison immunity all throughout the early acts. And it just, it was so good. So good. Also, and that's from an early player perspective on the game. Absorbman is that good. And you might be thinking, like, Legacy, that's great, but we're not all starting a new account. And for sure. But, Necropolis, the current biggest, end game content there is to do, I brought Absorbing Man for, I think, every single path on my main account for 100%ing it. I also brought him, on my second account, first path there. I soloed the Airwalker in Necropolis on 3 separate occasions with Absorbing Man. 2 on the main account, 1 on the second account. He's also incredible for, Vision Arcus in Necropolis. There's so many Necropolis fights that Absorbing Man's good for. I've also made a video, really showcasing Absorbing Man's damage potential. Because if you continuously throw special 3s, you're going to not only give yourself almost guaranteed crits, but you're also going to give yourself a permanent cruelty passive, which these can stack up to 5. So the longer the fight, you throw 5 special 3s, and then boom, now you're ramped up for that entire long fight. And that's a big, big, big damage increase. Plus, with Absorbing Man, the more skillfully you play, the more you can crit. By heavy chaining into your special attacks, you can get like 19,000 increased critical rate. Again, stack that with the cruelties, the damage is crazy. So Absorbing Man is great in short fights, in medium fights, in long fights. He's the immunity king. He's got you covered. Honestly, like, if anyone disagrees with Absorbing Man being on this list, like, I don't understand. Like, just so many immunities. He's the king. There could be arguments for him to be higher, but I think this is a good spot for him at that number 8 position. All right, that's Absorbing Man. Let's go ahead and move on now to the number 7 spot. And it's a champion we've already mentioned in this video, and that is Nick Fury. Whoops, hit the relic info. But yeah, Nicholas J. Fury. So we talked about him a little bit when we were talking about Torch, just how much more he excels in the game because of Battlegrounds, because the way Battlegrounds functions with that persistent, one and done, one in the chamber type of ability. You only get one shot in Battlegrounds. So it's the perfect storm. And Nick Fury has continued from the very dawn of Battlegrounds to right now. He has continued to remain in most decks. He has continued to stall people. And he has continued to cause issues. They even, are trying to release hard counters like Danny Moonstar to him. Which is interesting. She had to get buffed, rebalanced to be a better Nick Fury counter. But she's a pretty good one. But yeah, man. Nick Fury, as just a defender alone, deserves to be in this spot just for his defensiveness alone. Honestly, I could easily see him higher on this list, but I think this is a fair spot for Nick because he's insane on defense. He's always been a relevant defender, and it seems like, I don't know if he'll always be, because eventually, once we get to 7-star rank 4s and 7-star rank 5s, a 6-star Nick Fury is not going to be cutting it on defense. But if Nick gets released as a 7-star, dude, oh my. And I genuinely think, out of all the champions on this list, I can see Nick Fury coming out as a 7-star. Maybe even the most. I would say Absorbing Man is fairly likely as well as a 7-star. I'd say maybe Absorbing Man is the only other champion on this list that's more likely than Nick Fury to see as a 7-star. But yeah, I can absolutely see Nick Fury come as a 7-star. It wouldn't be that far-fetched. It's not going to be... I'm sure they're saving him for a really big hype special event. Maybe the Banquet. We could see 7-star Nick Fury this year. We could. But yeah, I could definitely see Nick Fury coming as a 7-star for a big special event where Kabam can make a bunch of money. I could absolutely see him being introduced as a 7-star. You know, when what makes Nick a really, really crazy defender is he needs to be awakened. So a 7-star unduped Nick is nothing. That doesn't really matter. But the second you dupe him, oh my god, you got one of the best champs in the game now. He just needs to be awakened. Any sig is fine, but the higher the sig, the better. Because the higher the sig, I actually took my Nick Fury to sig 200 pretty early on. I would say before most people had him at sig 200, I had him at sig 200 because it really helps on defense. On offense, it doesn't really matter. But on defense, his health just goes down slower and slower and slower until you get to that 30% threshold, the higher the sig you have. So if you have him at max sig, you know, it takes quite a while for his health to just degenerate down to 30%. You know, because sometimes, or I'd say before Battlegrounds came out, you know, the easy way to fight Nick Fury is to, you know, once you kill his second life, you just wait. You just sit there, you patient, you wait. You don't even have to touch Nick Fury, and you just wait for his health bar to decline. But in Battlegrounds, you know, you can't. You can do that, but you're going to waste a lot of precious time, which is going to cost you a lot of precious points. So you don't really do that strategy in Battlegrounds. So yeah, just the lower that health goes down, the longer the fight is going to be. And the more chances for Nick Fury to do stuff, to throw his special when you don't want him to hit you with an unblockable attack, to finish a combo, ending in a light, and hit you with a fat bleed. You know, Nick Fury, he's tried and true. And I've really only been talking about him so far as a defender. Dude, Nick Fury was one of the horsemen alongside Human Torch and Doctor Doom in the Abyss. When Abyss first came out, there was 4 champions. I think it was MSD that came up with the name. And I think it was on my stream, the 4 horsemen of Abyss. There's Nick Fury, Doctor Doom, Human Torch, and Aegon. Those were the 4 best champions to deal with the hardest content in the game at that time. And, you know, Nick Fury, he was a solidified horseman. He was no slouch. You get him to 30%, and dude, he was soloing fights on his own. He would solo the Invisible Woman in Abyss. Not a lot of champs back in the day at that time could do that so easily with just 30% health. Nick absolutely could. There's another annoying fight in there. I think it was MODOK. You know, Nick Fury, dude, once you're in that second life, you throw 2 special ones. Each gives you like 8 charges. That puts you to 16 charges. And then that's it. You're fully unblockable, so you fully counter auto block, you fully counter miss, and you fully counter evade. The 3 of the most annoying defensive mechanics in the game. Yeah, you just counter them all with Nick Fury, and you go God mode. You do a ton of damage, and if you have deep wounds, you end your combo with a light, and you get massive fat bleed ticks. You do a ton of damage. Not to mention the Fury buff that he gets in that second life also makes Nick Fury hit very hard. He also has a fairly decent crit rate. 33 point. That's actually really good. That is well above average. So yeah, like he's a very good chance to crit just as well, just at base. And with that Fury, those crits, man, they're pretty big. They're pretty big. So yeah, dude, Nick Fury. Honestly, the more I'm talking about him, the higher I want to put him. But yeah, like I've changed the order on this list multiple times. The first time I made this list, like before I left, it was a lot different. And when I came back, I did it again, and then I did it again, and then today I looked at it again. So, honestly, I think Nick Fury could go higher. But yeah, that's the number 7 spot. Let's go talk about our number 6 spot now. We're getting close to top 5. But before we get there, we have one more champion to talk about. And that is Archangel. So man, Archangel, what an animal this dude is. He has aged so well in the contest. He really has. You know, if they don't have poison or bleed immunity, and they have no way to like shrug debuffs, and they can be easily stunned and heavied, like Archangel will just run through it. Just run through it so fast, so much damage. It's crazy. You know, when we had the New York Comic Con, the tournaments for that, you had to get in line and do a fight. And, you know, the fastest time would get you on the leaderboard. And on matchups where the opponents could be on matchups that opponents that were not Mystic and that could be bled or poisoned, there was really only 2 champions. There was 2 champions that stood up above pretty much the entire roster of the game at the time as just the fastest options, fastest possible options, because it's RNG. And it was Archangel and Hyperion. these were the two that were used the most in those types of situations. Because, you know, with Hyperion, you heavy, you get Fury RNG, you can finish a fight super fast. With Archangel, you heavy, you get 4 bleeds, you parry again, 2 guaranteed poisons, you heavy. Let's say you get like 4 or 5 neuros, like, dude, that's an absurd, a bonker amount of damage. The only thing is that's some RNG reliance. The cool thing about Archangel is he actually has a synergy with Apocalypse. If he becomes a Horseman of Apocalypse, he can increase that RNG. So Horseman Archangel is a completely different breed of animal. Hey, that's something. I really hope and wish that eventually we get like just an Apocalypse relic. That would be awesome. And like you could, if you apply that to champions that he has, like the synergies and Horseman stuff with, like you could get that without having the synergy just as a relic. That's my hope for the mutant class one day. But Archangel, very similar to Torch, that he has just, you know, been in decks since the start of BGs. He still is. He's still in my decks. You know, as long as he can work in the meta, you pretty much have to have him in your deck. You don't have to, but it's a very good idea to. And he can just counter a lot of fights. You know, a lot of annoying fights. Like, for example, if your opponent drafts a Spider Ham and you really have no counter, like that could be scary. But then boom, you draft Archangel and the threat is just gone. Just gone. Another example, your opponent drafts Rintra, and you have no counter. Boom, you draft Archangel. The threat is just eliminated. Like, there's just so many champions that require some type of a counter. And, like, Archangel counters them. And they're, like, a lot of different champions. Like, Spider-Ham and Rintra, 2 completely different champions. They do very, very different things. You usually have very different counters. But Archangel can easily counter both of them. They can both be bled, poisoned, and easily stunned and heavied. So, like, Archangel, man, he's just so tried and true. He has been so tried and true since he came out. And, like, I don't have as much to say as I do against Nick Fury. So that's why I was thinking that maybe Nick Fury could take the spot. But, like, sometimes there's not much to be said. It's just he's simple and effective. And that's what Archangel is. So I don't think we're going to talk about him too much more. He earned this spot, number 6. He's aged like the finest of wine in the contest, man. He truly has. That's Archangel. All right, now we are getting into the top 5 territory. So for me, like these top 5, it could really change, you know, the rankings here. But this is the way I had, and like I said, I've changed it a few times. So this is what I've ended up with as my top 5. So coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Future AntMan. The one and only tech champion that is on this list. And that is Future AntMan. So, dude, Future AntMan is really awesome. Really awesome for so many different reasons. The biggest reason is just that he is a great dual threat champion. A great hybrid. So, he is an incredible attacker. He's got great power control. Great unique damage. And solid utilities. You know, at max sig, which is ideally what you want, you can basically gain pseudo immunity to bleed and poison. It just being awakened. You also get access to a very, very, very powerful damage cap. To illustrate how powerful this is, Future AntMan is an armor up champion. You know, who in this game counters armor up champions the best? Gallon, in my opinion. There's some others that are really good for it, but you know, Gallon, he just gains 50 mass per armor. So, like, when I first saw Future AntMan, I was like, dude, Gallon's going to eat this guy alive. Like, I'm not worried. But then, read the SIG. And it works, it counters Gallon. So, what the SIG does is when, there's a lot to the SIG, but the third bullet point, when AntMan would lose more than 10% of his max health from a single source, other than a special 3, reduce the damage to 10% of his max health. And then at max SIG, like, the SIG depends on how much healing this is, but at max SIG, you gain a self-repair buff healing 5% of max health. So, at max SIG, you are protected from being one-shot by anything, you know, other than a special 3. So, Gallon, you know, a full harvest, 999. You let that harvest go, it's only going to do 10% of Future AntMan's health, and if he's max SIG, he's going to heal half, 5% of that 10% back. Like, the Future AntMan is one of the tankiest champs in the entirety of MCOC, dude. Like, when I'm playing Future AntMan, I just feel safe. I feel secure. I feel like it's genuinely hard to die. I don't think I've ever died with him in war. I remember there was one time, it was a bit of a close fight, but he still pulled it out, and I played it so bad, but he doesn't die. He stays alive. Once you build up enough nano armors, if the opponent finishes a combo on you, they're going to get stunned, which is really nice. That saved my bacon more than once. Just plus, with the more nano armors, just the more chance to glance. So he's just causing the opponent to glance. Also, once you reach 6 nano armors, you go into the Surging Swarm, which gives you extra attack, gives you some other stuff, and it also makes the opponent more aggressive. So it's easier to intercept. It's easier to keep your armors built up, because the way to build them is to either intercept or punish a heavy. So it just makes it even easier to build and maintain and stay in that Surging Swarm with the AI manipulation. Again, he has great damage, very unique damage as well with the Disintegration, and then just the big red bursts on the special too. He also scales with boosts, with Mastery, so the recoil Masteries, you throw those on, the special 2s are going to get bigger, the red numbers will get bigger. Not all champions work that way. Like Gallon, doesn't matter if you boost or put on recoils with Gallon, nothing's increasing that harvest damage except if you level and rank him up. Future AntMan's damage is different. It can be boosted, which is nice. And yeah, he's a great defender. He's a good stall. Even, I still remember, one time I was doing a friendly against Fintech, the guy who won the Battle Round Brawl, and I managed to beat him simply because of Fam. Like, I should not have beaten him here in this matchup, but he was fighting Fam with Kate Bishop, so future AntMan had no armors. Finn was playing it correctly. Finn goes to use his special one with Kate, he perfect releases, and future AntMan, on the hit that the arrow hits him, he gains a glancing nano armor, and he glances the attack. He didn't even have any, but as the hit connects, which should apply, a very powerful Cold Snap passive to him, no, he glances it and says, nope. And that won me the match against him, because his first Cold Snap didn't apply. Like, that is the kind of, I was going to say a different word, but that's the kind of trickery, that's the kind of tomfoolery that future AntMan can cause as a defender. Yeah, he's a very, very good defender. We've seen him be an even bigger monster with some recent metas. There's a meta with extra armors that's made him go even crazier. So yeah, that is future AntMan landing at that number 5 spot. Incredible damage, incredible power control, incredible utility, dual threat, attacker, defender, hybrid champion. Like, so much good stuff to say about future AntMan. But he's only placed in number 5. Because these other champions, man, are just so crazy. So coming in at the number 4 spot, we have the best science champion in the game, and that is Scorpion. Scorpion is him, dude. He is so freaking good in any and every aspect of the game. Short term, medium form, long form content, war, alliance quest, battlegrounds, defense. He can do it all. He can literally do it all. And the best part about Scorpion is this man is quite literally a Swiss Army knife of offensive and defensive damage and utility. What I mean by that is, he has 3 modes that he can choose from on any given fight. So before even going into the fight, he can pick what mode he wants. And these are his pre-fights. So one is Poison. That's just the one you start with. So if you don't use a pre-fight, you're always just going to be in that. And that's just the default on defense. So as a defender, Scorpion is immune to Shock and Rupture. And that will never change. That is always what he'll be immune to on defense. So Scorpion can actually be Archangel successfully. Another champ that Archangel can counter. But yeah, so Poison, Shock, and Rupture. Those are the 3 pre-fights that Scorpion can choose from. Poison is just the basic one that you always have active, and that's a great one to have active because, like we already talked about with Absorbing Man, Poison is one of the most powerful damage over times in the game because not only is it unique in its damage type, I don't believe it falls into energy or physical. I believe it should just be direct damage, I think. Yeah, it says right here, inflict poison, direct damage. Yeah, so direct damage is really good. That's the type of damage you want because, it doesn't matter their energy resistance or their physical resistance, that damage is going to do its direct damage. And it also has the added bonus of reducing health. It says right here, reducing health and recovery by 30%, and that's per poison. So the more poisons you stack, I believe, the more you're reducing that health gain by. So that's a great one to just have as your main damage source. But some champions are immune to poison. Actually, a lot of champions are immune to poison because it is so powerful and potent that it makes sense that there's a lot of champs that are immune to it. So that's fine. With Scorpion, you can just change your pre-fight. So your opponent is poison immune. Okay, well, do they have any energy or physical resistances? If the answer is no to both, well then, you can kind of take your pick. Do you want to go shock or rupture? And also, do you need any type of shock or rupture immunity for the fight that you're doing? Again, if the answer is no, then it doesn't really matter. You can go shock or rupture. Okay, but let's say your opponent is immune to poison and they have high energy resistance. Okay, that's fine. Go for rupture then, because rupture is physical based damage. Like, it's so nice that you can pick the best damage type for the matchup in front of you. And rupture, I'm so happy that rupture is here. If it was just like bleed instead of rupture, it wouldn't be nearly as good, in my opinion, because there are a plethora of champions in the game that are immune to bleed. There's a lot of champs that are immune to poison too. A fair few amount of champs that are immune to shock. A fair few champs that are immune to incinerate. But I can count on one hand. I don't even need a full hand of the amount of champions that are immune to rupture. It's not much. So rupture is one of the best damage types in the game because there's just so little immunity to it. So I'm really happy that Scorpion always has that in his back pocket. And again, your immunities are based off of which one that you're using. So, like, you can, if you need poison and rupture immunity for a fight, then you can just go with the shock pre-fight, and then you'll have those two immunities watching your back. That's what I mean by a Swiss Army knife of utility and damage, offensively and defensively speaking. It's so good. It's so nice. And what I like about Scorpion as well is you can make him even better. Like, Scorpion, you can just play him normally. I can just play him my normal, easy way of just parry, medium, medium, or parry, medium, light, medium, get special 2, repeat. That's it. Super simple. Or maybe I'll take like block hits with the opponent stun immune, like nothing fancy, nothing crazy, and I get incredible results. But if you want to go the extra mile and get a little bit fancy, you can do that too, and you get rewarded for it. So with Scorpion, if you get to your special and you dash back and you start charging that tail, charge, and then you don't hit them with it. Instead, you special intercept. After charging the heavy, you're gonna increase your damage like tenfold. Like, you can increase your damage so much because when you charge your heavy, you build up the stings, and so, or the torment. Sorry. So charging heavy attack grants torment, and then landing heavy attack converts all torment debuffs, and then landing special 1 or 2 while charging converts 1 extra debuff per charge. So if you do that special intercept with it, it's going to be even better and going to be very rewarding. And torment debuffs last 10 seconds and are pause during specials and causes all damaging debuffs to last 1 second longer. So then you're able to stack up more of your other debuffs, and it's crazy. I don't typically use that playstyle because it's like kind of how we were talking about Tiger at the beginning of the video. High risk, high reward. But Scorpion, doesn't have to play that high risk, high reward. He can just play very normal, but it's open to you if you want. And it allows him to do matchups that he normally shouldn't do, such as Maestro. So Scorpion can actually he can fight Maestro. It's very weird and tricky and not easy, but I did it successfully one time that I can recall, and I remember it was when I was in Vegas with Andy, pushing that season. That was the last season I really, really pushed hard in Battlegrounds at the start of this year, and I ended up getting Celestial 4, top 10 in the world for that season. And one of the very last matches that I did was Scorpion versus Maestro. And somehow, miraculously, I did it successfully for like the first ever time. And it won me the match. And if I had lost that, I probably would have lost C4. Or I would have had to play a lot more to try to get it back. Which would have been very stressful and a big headache. So, I'll never remember that. Like, that's Scorpion's Swiss Army knife of utility and damage. Just really shining and getting me Celestial 4. That's all I gotta say about Scorpion, man. I love this guy. I love Scorpion so much. Alright, now we're getting up to the top 3. And I mean, even with the top 4, I feel like depending on who you ask, this top 4 could be... Like, I feel like these 4 are the best 6 stars in the game. Like, I am very convinced at that. But I think it's very easily, the order is very much so up for debate. Like I said, I've changed the order a little bit here and there. But right now, at the number 3 spot, I have Cosmic Ghost Rider. And honestly, like, I could see an argument for him going higher. I could see him being an argument for him being number 2. I don't think I could put CGR number 1. He has no defensive utility for me. That's really what's holding him from going any higher on this list. But I mean, he's already at number 3. He's already in an incredible spot. But man, Cosmic Ghost Rider, he's one of the few champions that I have fully maxed out on both of my accounts. I actually had him maxed out on Leg Spiker before I had him maxed out on my main account, which is crazy to think, but that's true. That is a true fact right there. Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider is just one of the biggest damage dealers in the game. Simply put, he's not like the highest possible in the game. Like, there's champions like Aegon at a 999 combo, or Guillotine 2099 at a 600 hit combo, you know, that are going to be doing way more damage than CGR could dream of. But that is insane to get that damage. It takes so much work to get that damage. CGR probably has the best damage in the game for time and effort to get said damage. All you do is you parry, heavy, 5 combo ending in a light attack to give you power gain, 5 combo ending in a medium to give you vigilance. That's 11 hits, and then you're at your special 2 and you drop it. And that's it. And if you didn't dex, that special 2 is going to give you a precision buff, and regardless of whether you're dex or not, it's going to give you a cruelty buff. So that's increasing your crit rate and increasing your crit damage. Your opponent is also going to be damnationed, so that means they are power locked, fate sealed, which is great, and heal blocked. So they can't gain any health, they can't gain any power, and any buffs on them are gone, and they can't gain any more buffs. All within 11 hits. The amount of utility in that and damage in just 11 hits is unreal. It's truly unreal. Like, CGR is so busted. I do not see Cosmic Ghost Rider being a 7-star anytime soon. No time soon. He would be so broken, dude. He'd be so broken. I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I would love it. But I just do not see it happening, because I think he would just be so ridiculously busted. Yeah. You know, and that's just for short fights. You know, if you want to do some longer fights, well, then, you know, you can throw in a special 3 rotation, get a big fat Fury buff too, and then throw those special 2s that have like 90-some% crit rate. It's going to do even more damage, you know, but that one's a little bit slower. You have to go to a special 3. It's not just a simple 11 hits and boom, you know. But yeah, CGR is also top 3 undisputed coolest looking champs in the game. That's just undisputed, at least in my mind. Like, looks so good. So good. Just looks incredible. God, he looks so good. Yeah. And fun fact, Cosmic Ghost Rider has actually been nerfed before he was even released into the ecosystem of MCOC. Back, you know, when he first came out, CCP got a chance to test him. This is a long time ago. So the fact that I even remember this shows you how powerful CGR was. So he was actually nerfed. So the CGR that we know and love today, imagine if his armor breaks were more potent, so he'd be doing more damage, and then imagine if his buffs also lasted longer, especially the precision buff. I know for a fact that buff's duration was lowered, or I'm like 90% sure. I think some of the other buff durations were also lowered, but I can't say for any kind of certainty which other ones. But yeah, just imagine if CGR's armor breaks lasted longer, were more potent, and his buffs also last longer. That's the way he was. And then Kabam nerfed him to what we have today. So, yeah, CGR is just an absolute animal in Battlegrounds. And the crazy thing is that he counters a lot of the new crazy defenders. Like, you know, Onslaught, Bullseye, Photon, Maestro. Cosmic Ghost Rider can work for all these champions. It can also kind of work for Serpent, but it's not... I don't recommend it. It's not that good of a match. I don't recommend that. But yeah, dude, CGR, just so crazy, so good. And yeah, he's landing in our number 3 spot. Oh yeah, one last thing I want to say is that I do have him maxed on both accounts, and he really helped a lot on like Spiker, just getting through Act 8 quick. Because, you know, Act 8, 8.4, 8.3, it's just 3 paths per quest, so it's not too bad. But 8.1 and 8.2 is that old layout of 6 paths per quest. So it's just so many paths, so many fights. It's just annoying. And CGR on that account, he just handled so many lanes by himself, and in such a reasonable amount of time. You know, and that's why I fully maxed him out. It was literally just to save myself time. He's a time saver. And there was one time in history where I really needed all the time I could get, where time really, really, really mattered. And that was when I did a mythic run, a mythic push for, I think it was 7.2? I think that's what it was. And yeah, as you can see, you know, I got the mythic title. And a big reason of that was because of Cosmic Ghost Rider. He handled so many paths in such a quick amount of time. It got me that mythic title. I was top 5 fastest people in the entire world, in the entire universe, to explore 7.2. That's what CGR does, dude. I wouldn't have a mythic title without this man. That is CGR landing at our number 3 spot. The last 2 champions we have to talk about, holy crap, are they busted. So, number 2, the second best 6-star champion in the entirety of Marvel Contest of Champions, in Lagacy's opinion. Protected by this legendary shield is Kate Bishop. So, Kate Bishop, man, holy crap. And before we talk about anything, a fun fact for anyone who doesn't know, she could have been a 7-star right now. Right now. And it's our fault. It's the community's fault. When the Titan pool first originated, one set of champions, one pool, so 6 champs, was actually decided by the community through voting on polls through Twitter. And for the skill vote, Kate Bishop was an option, but people voted for Shang-Chi over her, and we got Shang-Chi, and now we're probably never getting Kate as a 7-star, dude. Good luck if you're hoping for Kate as a 7-star, man. Good luck. So, you know, why was Kate an option for Kabam as a 7-star then, but not now? Great question. Allow me to explain. So, it's just a little thing called Necropolis. Necropolis came out, and we truly got to see how ridiculously busted Kate Bishop is. Now, I've always thought Kate Bishop is way more powerful than she needs to be. Way more powerful than she needs to be. Especially when she first came out. Especially before I started playing her. Before I personally enjoyed playing her. I was a hater. Because I was like, why is this teenage girl with no powers, just a bow, like one of the most powerful champs in the game? Like why is her master, her mentor, Hawkeye, worse as a champion than her? Why does she have cold snap arrows and Hawkeye doesn't? Who gave them to her? It was probably Hawkeye. Why doesn't he use cold snap arrows? You know? Why is her block proficiency higher than Doctor Doom's? That makes sense. Doctor Doom with a mystical magical barrier surrounding him when he blocks versus Kate Bishop's little bow and arrow and tiny wrists. Why can she block more than Doom? Like, or more than a vibranium shield? Like, it don't make no sense. And it's simple fact that all champions are not created equally in this game. It's a very simple and true fact. And so, Necropolis. Necropolis is what happened between that vote when Kate could have been a 7-star and now. And so Kate in Necropolis, she's one of the best champs in there for multiple reasons. You know, the first reason is just that her damage is insane. I would say Kate Bishop is one of the most broken champions in MCOC, because all you need to, like we talk about with CGR, you know, it's 11 hits. Kate Bishop is the same. She's pretty much 11 hits too, because you parry. That counts as her counter evade, so that's 1 hit technically. It counts as a hit in your combo. So you do that, you stun them. Passive stun, by the way, that lasts quite a while. So you stun them, passive stun. You go in, you hit them 1 time, medium. You dash back, you go dash back in because the stun's still there. It only goes away. It's a long stun, but it goes away if you do 2 hits. So you do 1 hit, dash back in, do a full 5-hit combo. So that should put us to about 7 hits. And then you do another combo. So I guess it would be like maybe 12 hits. So 1 more hit than CGR. But by that point, you're at your special 1. And then you throw that special 1. You can slow down time to make it even easier for yourself, which is what I do. I can perfect release Kate's special 1, I would say like 99 times out of 100 times. Because I can slow down time. It's super easy once you get it down. And you slow down time, perfect release, and boom! You apply a passive cold snap that just does so much damage. It just does so much damage. You've done 12 hits, and you just have so much damage. And, you know, CGR's damage is great, but it's big yellow numbers. Kate's, but, you know, what if there's Safeguard? What if there is damage caps? You know, what if you can only do 2% health? What if there's Rage? Well, Kate doesn't care, because that's passive damage over time. That's just ticking them away. So I would say Kate's damage is superior to Cosmic Ghost Rider's because of it being just passive, first of all. Not even a debuff. Not even a Cold Snap debuff. No, it's a Cold Snap passive, which also has the added utility of just preventing evade. That's nice. Yeah, it's just doing passive damage over time. Also, you know, there's plenty of champs that are immune to armor break that CGR just, you know, doesn't work as well against, or slap on an armor break immune node. There's plenty of quests in Act 8 and Act 7, you know, that had those, where CGR is not going to do nearly as good. But for Kate, she applies Cold Snap. Cold Snap is easily one of the most powerful damage over time effects in the game, because again, it has an added piece of utility, which is really nice. You know, like poison, it lowers healing. Cold Snap just prevents evade, so that's just nice to have. But there are, like, I don't know the exact amount, but I would want to say like less than 10 champions immune to Cold Snap in the game. Like, I don't even need 2 full hands, I'm pretty sure, to count the amount of Cold Snap immune champs in the game. There's not many. So her damage just works on like 90+% of the game. And it's so easy, it's so simple to get off. And so that makes Kate, you know, so good for short fights. Just 12 hits. Boom, you have so much damage. You don't even need to touch the opponent after that. You can literally just hit their block. Just tap their block. Go Valkyrie playstyle. Tap their block. That pauses your Cold Snap. So you don't have to worry. You can do that. It's just so ridiculously easy for short fights. For medium fights, okay, throw another special 1. Boom, now you got 2 Cold Snaps ticking. Double the damage. You're good. For long fights, you can first really build up. So with Kate, she, you know, Cold Snap is really all you use for day-to-day stuff. For short, medium fights, Cold Snap's all you need, all you ever want. But once you get to like Necropolis level, 8 million health fights that are going to take some time, you know, then what you want to do is you want to start with this Dissolver Arrow. So what that's going to do is it's going to inflict Fragility. So attacking Fragility, a fragile opponent grants 396 critical damage rating and reduces their block opportunities by 40%. On perfect release, also inflict a non-stacking Sunder passive, setting critical resistance at 0 while active. So the reason why you want to use this before you Cold Snap is because the way the Cold Snap works is when you perfect release the Cold Snap Arrow, you apply a critical Cold Snap passive, essentially. So it's gaining increased damage by your critical damage multiplier. Or your critical damage rating multiplier. So if you apply this fragility first, it's going to increase that critical damage rating. So you're going to make your cold snaps more potent. They're going to do even more damage. And so all of Kate's effects cap out at 2. So, you can only stack up 2 of these cold snaps. Because, if you could stack up an infinite amount, that would be ridiculous. That'd be way too powerful. Honestly, like, you should only be able to stack up 1. If we're trying to keep Kate balanced, it should probably only be 1. But, okay, 2's fine. But then, you go ahead and add in, you're in Necropolis. You have 4 other slots on your team. You might as well throw in a synergy. You can afford 1 synergy spot. You got 3 other spots. 1 synergy spot's nothing. So you throw in one of the most broken synergies in the game, America Chavez. What does this do? Oh, Kate's max stack limit of all trick arrows is increased by 1. So not only can you now apply 3 of those cold snaps. No, don't do that. First, apply 3 of those fragility arrows. So boom, 3 fragilities, and then 3 cold snap passives. And they're going to be increased even more by 3 of those fragility, and then 3 of the cold snaps. 1 of those cold snaps does so much damage. Now you got 3 of them with increased damage. So that's what truly makes Kate just bonkers for Necropolis. That synergy, just the way she works. But also, Kate Bishop has a bit of a shorter dash back distance than the average champion. And in Necropolis, you get rooted after a certain point in time. So that actually works to her favor because you're able to stay close with the roots and then immediately heavy the opponents. You can heavy counter after they special because you're so close via the roots. And then if you knock down the opponent while their back's near the wall, oh yeah, what does that do? All of your trick arrow effects are refreshed. So your 3 cold snaps, boom, they're refreshed. You can keep those 3 cold snaps up for the entire fight. It's not even that hard to do. And that's what makes Kate Bishop so busted in Necropolis. I truly think she is top 5, easily the most broken champions in the game, up there with Hercules, with Serpent. In my mind, she is easily up there, dude. She's so powerful. She's so insane. But she's not even number 1. She's not even number 1 for me. I think she's so broken, so good. And I do like her now. After Necropolis, that was when I started playing her. And I learned her, trial by fire. Just stepped into Necropolis with a Kate that I've never played before and figured her out. And I'm really glad that I did because it made me a much better player, fully capable of understanding how to play Kate. And I've won so many Battlegrounds matches with Kate. Like, if the meta allows for it, she's 100% in the deck and she's pretty much an auto draft. Yeah. For crit me with your best shot, she's going to be an absolute potato because all her damage is cold snap. But in a meta where she works, and the last meta, you didn't want to apply energy, DOT, so she didn't work for that. But in a meta where she works, pretty much an auto draft. She can counter just so many defenders, so many annoying things. She's just so good, dude. In Battlegrounds, Necropolis, anywhere, Alliance War, anywhere in the game. The only place she is lacking in is on defense. But even still, she definitely has some defensive potential because you can't just parry combo her. If you parry her and you hit her while she's stunned with a stun debuff, she's going to, do her evade counterattack on you. So a little bit of defensive utility, but that's it. That's the only thing I would say where Kate's really lacking. And I mean like immunities, but she doesn't need that when she's already one of the most broken champs in the game. So that's Kate. Now, there's only one other champion that could be higher than her. One other champion in the game, and it's, some people might not agree with this, some people might put Kate at number 1, that's totally fine, but no, for me, all day long, it's Hulkling, dude. All day long, Hulkling is the best 6-star champion in the game. I love Hulkling so much, dude. I've used Hulkling, like, he only came out, I think, was it 2022, so like, he's only been in the game for like a couple of years now, but I have played him so much. I've played him so many times. I feel like I don't know this for a fact, but in all my Battlegrounds matches, I would wager that my highest win percentage is when Hulkling is in my hands. When I'm using Hulkling on attack, like, I always win. Not always, but it feels that way. There's so many fights that Hulkling can take. It just makes so many fights so easy. Hulkling, he's a little bit... He takes a little bit more than CGR and Kate to, build up his damage loop. But I think it's fine. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth a little bit of the wait. And Hulkling has, you know, so much utility. He has so much utility in his kit that I think it makes it worth that he's a little bit slower to get to his big damage opposed to Kate and CGR. And his damage isn't as crazy as theirs, I would say, but it's still really, really good. You know, with Hulkling, all you do is you get close to 2 bars. You build up as many buffs as you can by parrying, by doing block hits, by just hitting. So you should have at least Aptitude, Bulwark, and Pierce active, at least those 3 buffs. And then you get enough Pierce to trigger your Unblockable, break the opponent's block, and throw your special 2. And then instead of getting just 1 Fury from your special 2, you get 2. And you also want to have ideally at least 4 of your Aptitude buffs up to increase those Fury potency. And if you do all that, your special 2 will hit pretty hard, and then you'll be unblockable, so you can hit your striker button. That's going to connect because you're unblockable pretty much regardless of where you are on the screen. Like, your opponent can... I remember being in Brian's stream, like, Brian, that's not how you play Hulkling. You need to throw your striker after your special 2. And he's like, dude, no, like, it wouldn't connect. Like, the opponent was on the other side of the screen. I'm like, dude, just trust me. It'll connect. And I remember him testing it, and he's like, holy crap, it connects. Like, it doesn't look like it should, because the opponent's like, maybe their back's against the wall. You're way over here. But you throw that relic, dude, it will connect. As long as you throw it quick enough and you're unblockable, it's going to connect. And it's going to do a lot of damage too, because you have 2 of those fat Furies. And then after the relic, you get in a full 5-hit combo again with those Furies. And then you can usually get in like maybe 1 more 5-hit combo with those Furies. And that's pretty much enough to kill most opponents. In like a battleground setting, 1 special 2, 1 striker, and then 2 full combos with the Furies, they're dead. Like, that's all it takes. So it's a very simple rotation, very effective rotation. It's not that hard to do. Not much skill check in for it. You know, with CGR, you have to try to not Dex. With Kate, you have to do the perfect release, which neither of those things are that big of a skill check, but it's something. But with Hulkling, it's hitting the opponent's block. It's not hard to do. Even if you struggle to do that, there's ways to play Hulkling so you can mitigate that. For example, you know, if you're at 3 or less hits away from being unblockable, you can just kind of slow down your combo, end the combo, pause for like a sec, and then throw your special 2, and it'll go blocked hit, blocked hit, blocked hit, unblockable trigger, last hit will connect, you'll get your double Furies, and you're good. So like, even in some situations where it's troublesome to hit the block, you can still absolutely make it work if you fully understand the AI, how they work, and you know how to play Hulkling. You can totally do that. What I love about Hulkling as well is, you know, like I was saying with Future AntMan, I think Future AntMan is extremely safe to play. I think Hulkling is very safe as well. I would say Future AntMan is slightly safer, but with the right luck, I'd say Hulkling is even safer. And what I mean by that is, you know, Hulkling, whenever you hit him, whenever he gets hit, he gains regen. I really love this ability. Sometimes I'll even get hit on purpose to get this regen. An example where I get hit on purpose would be like against Nick Fury. At the end of his special 1, you can just let that hit you. It's going to trigger the regen buff, and more buffs on Hulkling, just the more damage that you have. But it's also, so you're going to feel the damage back, and it's also going to give you a little bit of a disorient debuff. So it's also going to give you some willpower healing. So you can totally do that, you know, against Nick Fury. There's a time where you actually want to be hit, and then you can finish the fight with more health. So like with Hulkling, you can actually strategically get hit on purpose and make it work. Which I is a bit weird, but I do like. But you know, even if it's on purpose, you're getting hit, you're playing bad, or maybe you're fighting just some crazy defender with some insane nodes. You know, you get hit 8 times. Once you've triggered 8 of your regeneration buffs, you're gonna then trigger an indestructible buff. And like I said, with some luck, Hulkling can be an even safer champ than Fam. What I mean by that is, you know, if you manage to time it well and get a little bit lucky, your opponent's hitting you, and then the indestructible comes, and then let's say they hit you with like a special attack that would normally kill you, but no, you eat it into your indestructible, and then also you get regen. The way Hulkling's regen works is he heals back based on the damage dealt. So for example, let's say you hit Hulkling with 2 hits of a special attack, okay? He's going to get 2 regeneration buffs, and he's going to be healing, let's say a lot. Let's say those 2 hits were pretty damaging, but he survived it. He's going to be healing a lot. But then let's say you get hit again. Let's say you get hit 4 more times, and it's not enough to kill you because their basic combo was weak, but their special was strong. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking here. They hit you 5 times, 4 or 5 times. If you had enough shapeshifting charges, that's going to get rid of those original 2 regen buffs that were healing for a lot, and they're going to be replaced by new regen buffs that are healing you for a little. That's why Hulkling's regen works. So, but if you can time things again, like I said, like with the indestructible, and I literally had this happen to me on Leg Spiker against the current SOS boss, the Toad. I was using Hulkling, I got hit by Toad, he triggered regen, he triggers my indestructible, and then he hit me with a special 2. So he hits me with his special 2, I'm fully indestructible, I take no damage from it, and because his special 2 hit so hard, even though I was safe from it, I was protected by the indestructible, the regen healed me like back to full, because it was healing me for those big special hits. So I healed back up to like 90%. Like, it was crazy. Like, Hulkling, man, he's so safe to play. Those regens are so nice on offense, and they're annoying on defense. We haven't even started talking about Hulkling on defense yet, but we keep talking about him on offense here. So just the way Hulkling works is the more buffs, it says right here, plus 1280 attack rating for each unique buff Hulkling has. So a good rule of thumb with Hulkling is to try to always have as many unique buffs as you can. Like I said, you should always have at least 3 for the most part. That is Aptitude, Pierce, and Bulwark. Those are very easy to get just by hitting the opponent, hitting their block, and parrying. In most situations, you should always have at least those 3 up. Now, if you want to get crazy, take a hit on purpose, get the regen, that's another buff. You can totally do that. Don't recommend it all the time, but in certain situations, it can definitely be a good play. But what I love about this ability is that, this works anywhere. So if there's a meta where there's an additional buff, maybe it does nothing. Maybe it's a placebo buff. Placebo buffs literally do nothing. It's just a buff. But Hulkling still gains the attack rating because it's a unique buff on him. So he's able to take advantage of things like that, which I really do like. Also, if you give him, let's say, the Odin pre-fights, 3 more buffs. The Aptitude I don't think is unique because he already has Aptitude, but at least that's 2 unique buffs that you can give him with the protection and the shock resist, even though he's already shock immune. But that's just more buffs, again, for Hulkling. He's just going to gain more attack rating. So I like that he just has that passive. Like, just more buffs on him, the more damage he's going to be dealing. What I also love about Hulkling are his immunities. Like, there's so much utility jam-packed in here. Let's start reading. So being a Kree Skrull, full immunity to poison and shock. Dude, that's amazing. Just poison, like we've already talked about in this video how annoying poison can be. So to have full immunity to that, fantastic. Full immunity to shock as well, sure, we'll take that. Shock can be annoying, cool. Additionally, the mystical sword Excelsior protects Hulkling's energy, granting immunity to power drain. So he's fully immune to power drain, steal, burn, straight up. So it's hard to power control Hulkling because of that, which can be useful as an attacker because you can turn off like nodes and stuff. And for example, there is in Abyss of Legends, against tech champs, every 10 hits, all your power gets stolen. Well, Hulkling's immune to that. He doesn't care. So it's really those are some really solid abilities. There's also nodes that like every 20 seconds your power is drained, or your power like every 20 seconds your power is drained. Hulkling's immune to that. Let's Vision. When Vision hits you with a special attack, he power burns you. Against OG Vision and AOU Vision, not Deathless Vision, if you're fighting them with Hulkling, you can literally just stand there and let them hit you with their special 1, the beam, beep, or the karate chop special 2. You just let them hit you. All it will do is give you regen. You'll get a free regen buff, and the special will do 0 damage because you're immune to power burn. None of your power will be burned. Ergo, you'll take 0 damage. Deathless Vision, on the other hand, works a little bit differently. He deals damage on his specials, not just for the amount of power burn. So you will take some damage if you try to eat that with Hulkling. He won't power burn you, but you will take some damage. But yeah, so those are incredible means to have offensively, but also defensively. Hulkling's power gain can very easily get out of hand, and you can't just easily power drain, steal, or burn him. You can't do that at all. So you have to use some other type of power control means, which there are others. He's not immune to it at all, but power drain, steal, and burn, I would say, are 3 of the most common. So those are incredible immunities to have. And he also reduces the incoming heal block duration by 2 seconds. You might be thinking like, well, that doesn't really matter. And yeah, for the most part, it doesn't. I think that was originally put there to help against Penny Parker because she applies heal block. So it makes him a little bit better Penny Parker counter. But for where this has come into play for me before is there's a node, I think it's like something lockdown where I think there's one like at the start of the fight, and I think there's another one like every time the opponent does a special or something. But it's like they apply multiple debuffs to you, like 2 or 3 debuffs at once, and one of them's heal block. So, you know, you're not able to willpower heal from that. But Hulkling reduces that heal block duration by 2 seconds. So the heal block will fall off way before the other debuffs, allowing you to get some power, or sorry, some health back through willpower. So that does come in handy every now and then. It is nice to have. And then when Hulkling prevents an effect via immunity, he gains a shape-shifting charge. So if you're triggering that poison or shock immunity, it's just going to kind of fuel him, and it's going to allow him to go a bit faster. And then here's another part of a Hulkling that I love. Is offensive combat power rate is decreased by 20%, which, you know, normally is not a good thing to have your combat power rate reduced. But 20% isn't that much, and it's so worth it, because what you get in exchange for that are power from these shape-shifting charges. So, you know, the shape-shifting charges just build up passively. They'll just build. You can build them faster by using a special one. That's going to kind of supercharge them. And then again, if you're triggering immunities, you're going to get some that way. And then you convert shape-shifting charges into buffs. So it's very simple. You know, you convert those shape-shifting charges into your aptitude, your pierce, your bulwark. You just kind of got to manage it. So that's what makes Hulkling a little bit balanced. But the best part about all of this is that whenever a shapeshift buff is gained, so like anytime you hit in their block, convert a shapeshifting charge into a pierce. Every time you just hit them, you convert a shapeshifting charge into an aptitude. Every time you parry, you convert a shapeshifting charge into a bulwark. You gain power. So this is why he has 20% reduced combat power rate, because whenever a shapeshift buff is gained, Hulkling also passively gains 7% of a bar of power. Dude, this is so useful. There's countless nodes that, you know, just turns off your combat power rate, and it's like you have to gain power this way, or do this, or do that. And it's like Hulkling's like, well, I can still gain power my own way. And he can't. Really, really nice ability, man. And so everything we've said so far is mainly about Hulkling as an attacker. Dude, Hulkling is an incredible defender. You know, not for just average nodes, especially with the caliber of defenders we're getting nowadays, but throw in 1 to 2 nodes that are going to benefit Hulkling, and he will become a menace. Throw in the rich get richer, and he's going to be gaining so much power. You know, there's so many nodes that can easily make Hulkling such a crazy defender. And, you know, even at his base, if you don't have like if you have just like not the most ideal champ to fight him with, you're going to have to deal with all of his regen throughout the fight. You're going to have to deal with his indestructible triggering, and, you know, that's just killing time. And he heals during the indestructible. You know, like, it's a lot. He can definitely be a lot on defense. I've definitely won, not so much lately, but especially when Hulkling first came out, man, I won so many Battlegrounds matches with him in weird spots, just throwing him on defense, and he's come through for me. I really think Hulkling just has it all. That's why he's number 1 on my list here, because he has it all. He has the damage, he has the utility, he has the defensive prowess, he just has it all. He has a very simple, easy playstyle. It's not high risk, but it is very, very high reward. Extremely high reward, very low risk. Yeah, I think, wow, we're it's an hour, 13 minutes. Wow, I did not think this was going to be that long of a video. But, yeah, really, really went in depth on this one. That is my top 10 list, and I do have it here. This is the top 10 list right there. Hulkling number 1, Kate number 2, CGR number 3, Scorpion number 4, Future Ant-Man number 5, Archangel number 6, Nick Fury number 7, Zorby-Man number 8, Human Torch number 9, and Doctor Doom number 10. Guys, that is going to do. I finally delivered on the top 10 best 6-star champions. Like I said, it took me a while to make this. I was on a long quest to get this shield, but now that I have, I should be protected from all the negative comments, all the negative anything trying to go against my opinion and not protect it, because all of us, we're all entitled to our opinion, and this shield just protects that. That's going to go ahead and do it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this one, and if this video can just get 1,000 likes, I will get started on the top 10 best 7-star champions in game. Very similar style video as this one. That's going to go ahead and do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a thumbs up. I would really appreciate you leaving a comment. Let me know what you think. But I just ask, try to keep it respectful. And if you don't, well, I'll be protected with my shield anyway, so it's all good. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.